Hi guys, welcome back. In this episode, we are going over how we made this fruit platter here. But in actuality, this is more of a video on how not to make this fruit platter. So initially, we had set out to build a like a serving board that was about an inch thick and it was flat. But we made a lot of mistakes along the way. I forgot to do a lot of important things, and we ended up with this sloped shape. So be sure to stay tuned towards the end of the video where we'll talk about all the mistakes that we made and the effects of those mistakes. So here we're starting with a slab of cedar here, and we're just going to start by stripping off the bark. Alright, so we have all of our pieces cut up and kind of laid out in the shape that we want. And so we're ready to start building our mold for pouring in the epoxy. Alright, so the epoxy is dried for about a day or so, and you can see we ran into some issues. First issue is when I glued in all the pieces, I didn't glue them in well enough, and the epoxy leaked out from underneath. Just made a real big mess, and then I got these like low spots that I had to come back and refill. The other thing is the epoxy flooded the bottom, and then the boards all got warped. So here's a straight edge, and you can see it warped probably a good 1/4 inch across the board. So, you know, not ideal, but you know, some of the PETG still got stuck to it. But I think this is still salvageable. It's just gonna end up thinner than I expected. Alright, so we had done the pour on this side, and kind of expectedly we developed a slight warp this way and then this way, but I still figured it was still salvageable. So then we went ahead and did the other side, and this is what we got. So this is all air bubbles coming up out of the wood as the epoxy is going in. So the warp actually increased in both directions, so we end up with this teeter-totter effect. I still think we can salvage it into something. It's just not going to be a cutting board, so, or a serving board. So I think what we're going to do is sand this down and see if we can save this. Alright, so the mistakes that we made in building this, probably the first and biggest mistake was that prior to doing our epoxy pour, we did not seal the wood at all. And that caused two main issues. One, the epoxy was sucked up into the wood and caused it to swell and gave us that really nasty arc. The other problem with forgetting to seal the wood was that on the reverse side, we got massive amounts of air bubbles, which all had to be ground down and sanded and smoothed out and then re-poured. One of the other big mistakes that we did is used PETG for our mold, and as you can see in a couple of the sections of the video, the PETG actually bonded to the epoxy. The other thing with the mold was that it wasn't sealed well enough. So a couple of dots of hot glue, even though the mold was flat against it, the epoxy still managed to find its way and leak out in a lot of places, which caused our surface level to drop significantly. One of the other big mistakes that we did is not securing the wood down well enough. Taping it to the edge definitely was not a good idea. They all floated, they all moved. So really it has to be clamped down very securely. So yeah, hopefully you can learn from some of these mistakes and not end up with a fruit platter. So thanks for watching.